A year ago, I realized that life is like the world of Minecraft, where there are two different types of people. There's Steve, the main character of the game, the one who is in control of the gaming controller. And there's a villager, who can only do as they're programmed, as they don't have access to their controller. The realization of this Minecraft analogy is the reason why I decided not to go to college. Let me explain. It was another ordinary school day in December of my junior year. As always, I was sitting at my desk, studying for an upcoming semester exam. Until suddenly, I realized I studied until midnight because everyone else was. I prioritized work over everything because I had to maintain a 4.0 GPA. I took AP classes and was drowned in work. I did everything for college when it wasn't where I wanted to be. Tears of realization started pouring uncontrollably from my eyes. Something deep within me exploded, and my body was trying to express something that I've hid for too long. I noticed for the first time that my energy was put into the wrong things, and that I was following the mainstream. My actions were purely based on other people. I had no control over my actions until I chose to step out of the flow. The moment I stepped out, I knew there was no turning back. I saw an unpopulated road ahead of me, but I started walking anyway, hoping to find the right path for me. As I continued to march this deserted path, I started to feel more and more alone. This feeling magnified when I became a senior and everyone around me started talking about college applications. When people asked me where I would apply, I would name some random college and quickly change the subject. My closest friends always wondered why I hadn't started writing my essays when they were due in a month. My fear of judgment was so intense I couldn't even tell my closest friends. I felt like I had to hide my voice because it was such an unpopular opinion. A year went by and I was constantly afraid of expressing my thoughts because I thought it meant being alone. My throat felt more and more strangled as the days went by, and I started doubting the path that I chose to take. I thought, maybe I should have just followed everyone else. I felt so trapped. There was nowhere to turn, and it was too late to turn back. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. My only option was to face my focus inwards and reflect. Self-reflection was my method of escapism and was my last resort to overcome my fear of judgment. The process of self-reflection was surprisingly demanding. It was a brutal internal war that put me up against my unconquerable fear of judgment face to face. I was alone up against my darkest fear. However, just like gaming characters level up after fighting bosses, every time I analyzed and tried to understand my fear, I grew stronger. I eventually overcame my fear of judgment, and the fear that used to terrify me didn't seem so scary after all. Self-reflection was nasty and harsh, but it was a necessary step for me to break down the barrier of fear that stopped me from moving forward. Conquering my fear of judgment was the key that granted me access to my gaming controller. It was self-reflection that allowed me to level up from a villager into Steve. For the first time, I was able to identify with my truth and be confident in my decision. All this time, I'd been shaming myself for taking a different path, when it was the best decision of my life. When I first escaped the mainstream, I thought I would finally be free to walk my path. However, the reality was I was still a villager, and nothing had changed. I was still denied the ability to choose from an infinite range of possibilities because my fear of judgment acted as a boundary that I accepted as truth. I couldn't see past it. But once I started understanding my fear, I began to accept my truth, no matter what other people thought. I was finally able to break down the prison wall that I built around myself and focus on the choices that brought joy to me. Traveling was my definition of joy. I've always loved different cultures, foreign languages, and connecting with people with diverse backgrounds and perspectives. Appreciating exotic cultures, expanding my awareness of the world, and breaking down the wall between people has always been my dream. So I thought, why not live in a foreign country instead of learning about it? Why not actually live in Germany, France, or Spain? There, I would be forced to talk to new people, open myself to a new environment, learn the language, while having a close and intimate experience with the culture. What I needed was a sense of spontaneity and uncertainty, a life without a plan. After 12 long years of formal education, I needed to throw myself out there and force myself to learn about the world. I decided that my love for traveling was the best tool for me to achieve my goal of being independent, free, and passionate about what I do. Every school offers something special for each student. It is where people prosper in their own ways. The College of Life was the only place that offered the perfect program for me. You are Steve from Minecraft. You are in charge of your life. But if you ever feel like a villager, if you ever feel like your choices are repressed, reflect and ask yourself what it is that is restricting you. Rather than understanding it intellectually, pay attention to the sensations of your body and go with your intuitive feelings. It will pave a clear path not influenced by fear of outside influences, but solely on your truth. The answer is within you. The voice inside you will speak if you listen. Once you learn to hear that voice, you can finally understand who you are and what you want, regardless of what other people say or do. Once we can trust our hearts, we can finally achieve freedom of choice. There's no such thing as a right or wrong answer. What is right for someone else may not be right for you. We all have different destinations, and each one is special in its own way. So there's no need to compare. Comparing paths, heading towards different destinations, will always lead in a path that is not your own. We will never be happy living someone else's life. You were born an original, so don't be a copy. Be creative and create the life you want to live. And be confident in your decisions. The more you love your decisions, the less you'll need others to love them for you. Everyone else is living their life. It's time for you to spread your wings and be the creator of yours. What is the life that you want to create? Are you ready to finally start playing your game? Then go grab your gaming controller. Do you have it? Your possibilities are endless.